Hello, welcome back to the channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings, and we generally like to talk a lot of bollocks, tabletop gaming in general. And in this video we're going to be talking about a vulnerable, very light miniatures game. We're going to be talking about Heroscape, and this is a game where you'll be taking control of an army. You'll be moving across the map, trying to attack your opponents, trying to fulfill objectives that will allow you to win the game. So in this video we're going to be giving you a very brief overview of the rules. We'll be telling you what we do like, what we don't like. Then we'll come back and we'll tell you whether or not Heroscape is worth digging out and paying shitloads of money for today and in the future. So remember, if you're new here, please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section down there, and we'll see you after this. Bollocks! So, Heroscape, how'd you play this game? So, Heroscape is a modular, light on rules, miniatures war game. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to set up the modular board. You'll see that out of the box you've got a load of different size hexes, and you'll pick one of the scenarios and you'll build the map as instructed by the instructions in the rulebook. There are 1,000,001 different combinations. You don't have to follow the map in the rulebook. If you go to a website called Heroscapers, you will find more maps than you could shake a stick at. Right, so you'll see that each of the types of terrain has got a different colour on it. The green coloured tiles are meant to be grass. The yellowy beige ones are sand. You've got grey ones which are rock, and then you've also got water tiles as well, right? In expansions there were various other different types of terrain. You had lava and you had snow or ice, and there were loads and loads of other expansions that were released which gave you icebergs, volcanoes, trees, tropical plants, roads, and all that sort of stuff, right? So once you've set up the modular board, then you will muster your armies. There's two different types of games in the core set of Heroscape. You've got the basic game, and you've got the master game. In the basic game, you'll choose a few hero cards and you'll just get started with the game. In the master set, there'll be a points-based system, and each of the characters has got a number of muster points, and then you will use those muster points to draft these character sets into your army. So for instance, if you want to draft Mimring the Dragon, right, and it will cost you 150 points, and you'll see on each of the character cards there's different stats and a few different special abilities and a few different other things, right? You'll see that Mimring, for instance, has got 5 health. He's got a movement rate of 6. They got a range of 1. They got an attack value of 4 and a defense of 3, right? And this is all used for the actions that you'll take in a little bit. You'll see also on the left hand side you've got the size of the character that you're using and a few different characteristics that apply to the character that will be used in the game. So once you have mustered your troops, so to speak, each side will roll a d20, and the side that rolls the highest number will go first. So the first thing you'll do is you will gather your order markers. You will have order markers with 1, 2 and 3, and what you'll do, you'll place these order markers onto the characters in the order that you want to activate them, right? You can put more than one order marker on the same character, which allows you to activate it more than once on a given turn, right? If you place an X on there, then that is like a decoy, and that just means that when these order markers are revealed in sequence and you reveal an X, you're basically trying to bluff whether or not you were going to activate that figure, right? So on your turn, you'll be taking 3 different actions. You'll reveal the order marker that corresponds to the turn you're on. So if you're on turn number 1, then you will reveal order marker number 1, right? Next thing you'll do is you'll be able to move the figure or figures that are associated with the army card. You look at the movement value of the army card, and then you will move those figures that number of spaces. There are a certain number of restrictions with regards to terrain. So for instance, you can pass through friendly figures, but you can't pass through enemy figures. And if you do land on a space that's adjacent to an enemy figure, then your figure is classed as engaged, right? Get onto that in a little bit. I'm getting impatient. So because Heroscape is a 3-dimensional war game, right, you'll see that you can move up different levels. So this is really easy to do. All you've got to do is you've got to count the number of tiles between you and the place you want to go to, and then you will deduct that from your movement value. There are rules for falling as well. You can drop down to a level that is the same height as your player. If you drop down any more than that, then you'll have to roll a battle die to see if you take any damage. If the level is 10 spaces or more, which is a pretty stupid thing to do unless you're wearing a bleeding wingsuit, you roll an additional battle die for every level that is above 10, right? So if you move into water, you've got to stop, and if you're moving through water, then you can only move 2 spaces. If you're moving out of water onto land, then the moving up rule will apply, which is what we just talked about a couple of seconds ago, wasn't it? I don't know, I can't remember. So there's a couple of special rules for double space figures. You'll see that Grimnak, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and Mimring have got double space bases, but I wouldn't worry too much about that because I don't really want to waffle on about meaningless crap, all right? So like we said previously, if you are adjacent to a figure, then you are what's called engaged. You can move out of an engagement situation without getting married. If you haven't got the balls to walk out on your spouse, then you can actually take a hit of damage for every character that you are engaged in, right? Sort of like a goodbye slap. So once you've moved your character, then you can attack with the figure that's depicted on the army card, right? The figure that you're attacking has to be within range. So you look at the card and it will tell you how far away you can attack a figure. It's also got to be within line of sight. Line of sight is one of the more interesting things about this game. You'll see that every character has got a red silhouette of itself on a black background. It'll have a dot on it. And all you got to do is crouch down, look from the perspective of where the dot is, and if you can see the character that you're attacking, they are within line of sight. Fantastic. So each figure can attack only once on their turn. There is a height advantage, so if you're higher than the character you're attacking, or the character that you're attacking is higher than you, then you'll get a 1 die advantage. If it's more than 10 levels, then they will get 2 dice advantage. It's sort of like shitting on someone from a great height, quite literally. So then you'll carry out the attack. You'll look at the attack value of your card and you'll look at the defense value of the other card, and then what you do, you'll both roll that number of dice, and for every attack symbol that you roll, you will deduct a defense symbol that your opponent's rolled, and if you're left with any number of hits, then you'll apply 1 hit to the character you're attacking. If the character that you're attacking receives more damage than it has life points left, then that character is removed from the game and you will win the battle. Hurrah! So once you have completed a battle, then you'll go on to round 2, you'll go on to round 3, and then once you have completed round 3, then you'll reset all the turn order markers and you'll go again. Some other things you've got to be mindful of is there may or may not be glyphs in the game. Glyphs are sort of temporary and permanent special abilities that can be activated when you land on the glyph. So some of the permanent glyphs that can be activated, remember these permanent glyphs are only in session if your figure is actually on them. If you come off it, then the permanent glyph is deactivated. So you might have the glyph of Astrid, and this one says for each of your figures roll 1 extra battle die when attacking. You might have the glyph of Gerda, and this one says for each of your figures roll 1 extra battle die when defending. Or you might have the glyph of Dagmar, which when you roll for initiative you'll be able to add 8 to your die roll. Nice and powerful stuff. The only thing is you're going to have your feet concreted to the floor in order to use it. So some of the temporary glyphs that you might encounter in Heroscape are, you might have the glyph of Kelda, and this one says only figures with 1 or more wound markers may stop on this glyph. When one of your figures stops here, remove all wound markers from its army card. Or you might have the glyph of Mitten Soul. What? For each figure on your battlefield, yours and your opponent's, roll a 20-sided die. If you roll a 1, the figure is destroyed. If you roll a 2 through 20, the figure is safe. And that's a bit feeble, isn't it? Yeah, it's like getting your winky caught in your zipper. So there's other rules for flying and overhangs and all that sort of crap. I ain't going to get involved in none of that. You want to look at some of that, there's loads of crap on the web that you can sift through at your leisure without wasting more of my time. So keep doing this, you'll keep running through those 3 steps, and once one player has fulfilled the requirements of the scenario, then they will be the winner of Heroscape. So what do we like about Heroscape? So the first thing that we really like about Heroscape is the infinite number of possibilities that this game offers you. Not only do you get the option of building these custom modular boards, these wonderful plastic hexes that slot together sometimes quite nicely. We bought a set years ago where it was so brittle that when you pulled the hexes away from each other, it just basically crumbled to dust, right? But generally speaking, the sets are of wonderful quality. The plastic is really thick and durable, and you get a wealth of characters in the core set. For instance, you might want to pick up Finn, the Viking champion. He's got a move of 5, a range of 1, attack of 3, defense of 4, and he's got an attack or a special ability where all friendly figures adjacent to Finn within a range of 1 add 1 die to their normal attack. And he's also got the warrior's attack, so when Finn is destroyed, place this figure on any unique army card. Finn's spirit adds 1 to the normal attack number on that card, right? Or you might have Agent Carr, who is a direct descendant of comedian Alan Carr, I'll have you know. He's got a life of 4, a move of 5, range of 6, attack of 2, defense of 4, and he's got the Ghost Walk special ability where he can move through all figures. He's also got the Sword of Reckoning. If Agent Alan Carr is attacking an adjacent figure, add 4 dice to Agent Carr's attack. And you've also got one of my favourite armies, which is the Airborne Elite. They've got 1 life only, which is a bit of a shame. They move 4, range 8, attack 3, defense 2, and they've got a grenade special attack, and they can use this power once per game. They can start the game with a grenade marker. Basically, they can lob the grenade and blow the shit out of anybody they want, right? They've also got the Elite Airdrop, and the Airborne Elite do not start the game on the battlefield, but at the start of each round, before you place the order markers, roll the 20-sided die. If you roll 13 or higher, you may place all Airborne Elite figures on empty spaces, right? Super duper, that's absolutely fantastic, right? Or you might end up with the astonishingly scary Death Walker 9000. He's got a life of 1, which is a bit weird for something that gargantuan. He's got a move of 5, range of 7, attack of 4, defense 9, and he's got the Explosion special attack. Choose a figure to attack. Any figures adjacent to the chosen figure are also affected by the Explosion special attack. Roll 3 attack dice once for all effective figures. Each figure rolls defense dice separately. Death Walker can be affected by his own explosion attack. So he's got a brain the size of a pea, as well as having a willy the size of a maggot. So in addition to all these characters that you can take, I don't know, there were so many different expansions for this, I lost count. Way early on, I had to stop buying it because it was just sucking the life out of my wallet. But you've also got loads of terrain that you can buy. Like we said, you've got the icebergs, you've got the roads, a castle, and all that sort of stuff. So really, the possibilities with this one were quite limitless until they stopped making it. If that makes sense. So second thing that we like about Heroscape is that this doesn't take a PhD in gaming studies to figure out. Basically, you're just going to be moving and attacking, moving and attacking. There are some fiddly rules to do with different situations you might find yourself in if you're overhanging different things and if you're going to be flying different places and that. But the rule book is very concise. It makes it really easy to follow through. If you're playing with younger kids, you can basically play the basic version, if you know what I mean. And then you can move on to the master version, which really is a basic game in itself. So the rules are very light, and we do enjoy this game because of that in part, you know. So the third thing that we really like about Heroscape is that whilst the game isn't actually officially supported by MB Games, that is now Hasbro Games, this has a wonderful community on the web called Heroscapers, and you can get custom characters on there. You can get custom terrain ideas, 3D printable tiles and all that sort of stuff. And I actually made some of my own stuff for Heroscape because I am a complete and utter sad geek. I couldn't afford to buy the Arctic stuff or the volcano, so I made my own out of modelling clay, right? So if you've got the patience, I'm not saying you've got the skills, right, but if you've got the patience, you can make your own stuff for this and open up even more possibilities by going down your local aquarium and buying some of those things that you stick in a fish tank and bunging them on a Heroscape tile to sort of mimic that trouble set that goes for about 700 quid on eBay, you know what I mean? The final thing that we like about Heroscape is that this game looks absolutely stunning on the table, and maybe the building of the modular landscape itself might be just that little bit more fun than actually playing a game, you know. But there seems to be this thing where you start off with just a core set, you get more and more of this stuff, and you end up building this huge landscape that actually doesn't really work too well in the game, right? Because essentially this game is for 2 to 4 players, right? So there's not really any sense of building these massive modular landscapes because it will just take too long to power through it and tear it down, right? We'll get to that. So what don't we like about Heroscape? So the first thing that we don't like about Heroscape, and this is the major thing that stops us from playing this as much as we would like to, is the setup and tear down. It's just too much nowadays. Like I said, I enjoy setting the game up, seeing where all the different pieces are going to lie and the different possibilities that the terrain is going to allow you to explore in conjunction with the characters you're going to be using. But when it actually comes to pulling this stuff apart, putting it back in a box and finding enough space in my house to store this, I've currently got it all in the attic. So next time I want to play this, I'm going to have to drag it out of the loft. Try not to kill myself by precariously negotiating a tiny rickety aluminium step ladder. And if I haven't broken my neck, then I'll probably die of boredom or frustration when I tear this down. So that is a hindrance and a massive con to Heroscape is that it takes absolutely ages to set up and tear down. So the second thing we don't like about Heroscape is that in order to cause damage to the other players, you're going to have to put yourself in a position where you are open to attack yourself. So you end up with this back and forth trap where you're going to be left vulnerable if you actually want to damage your opponent. And the fact that when you become engaged, you can't escape from that unless you take damage, and you're probably not going to be able to run away that far anyway, means that there's not really any way to cause damage and take cover without risking damage yourself. And you've got to remember as well that a lot of these characters can only absorb 1 life point, so you're left in this position where you don't really want to risk early on pushing your characters through, because if you lose 1 or 2 characters in doing so, then the other player is going to have an infinitely stronger position if you take too many risks. So the next thing we don't like about Heroscape is that some of these characters can seem a little bit unbalanced at higher player counts. Essentially, this game is really for 2 players, but if you're going to be looking for a 3 or 4 player maps, then a lot of the better characters are going to be gobbled up very quickly. Okay, you can go out and get some of the ridiculously expensive expansion packs, but if you've got the Rise of the Valkyrie base set, or the Swarm and the Marrow base set, or even the Marvel one, or that horrible D&D one they released, then there's not really going to be that much left in the pot if you're playing at higher player counts, is there? So yeah, what you're going to see is a smash and grab raid on all the best characters, and especially when you talk about the larger, more powerful characters, they're going to get gobbled up real quick, right? So the final thing we don't like about Heroscape is the fact that this game is out of fucking print. Come on, Hasbro, get your head out your ass and reprint this bloody game. If you're not going to reprint it, give it to somebody, give it to the original designer Craig Van Ness, and get him to reprint it on a crowdfunding platform, right? It's an absolute tragedy that this game has been relegated to the dustbin of history. Hasbro did try and regurgitate this one in the monstrosity. It was the Arena of the Planeswalkers, which was a Magic the Gathering sort of spin-off, but that looked crap. The miniatures were unpainted, they were just blobs of plastic, and it just didn't have the charm of the original Heroscape, and Hasbro cancelled it, but we bought all of it anyway for some bizarre reason. So yeah, the fact that this is sadly out of print, and the only place you're going to be able to get this is second-hand shops or eBay if you are a multi-trillionaire. So the only option is to remortgage your house, take out a bank loan, or basically just rob Tom Vassal's house. So to summarise, is Heroscape worth your time and bother? Is it worth shelling out truckloads of money to play this today and in the future? So we're going to say, yes, I love Heroscape, but it's just not worth paying out the money. So forget about how much it costs, right? Just think about, if somebody gave you this, would it be worth playing? And we're going to say absolutely yes. Heroscape is one of our favourite games of all time. In fact, we'll go so far as to say this was a seminal moment in board gaming history. The modular system was so innovative, and the way that Hasbro created these pre-painted miniatures was with such a simple rule set that kids could get involved, and adults loved playing with these toys as well, because that's basically what it was. It was sort of a crossover between a game and a toy. It presents the player with a mind-boggling array of possibilities, with so many expansions that I can't remember what they were all called and how many there were, and it looks absolutely stunning on the table. Yeah, it's one of the best looking games that you can get, period. Having said that, some of the rules are a little bit clunky and hard to remember, and some of the characters, if used in certain conjunctions with other characters, they can be a little bit unbalanced and a little bit unfair. Having said that, if you can find somebody that you can pay to set this up and tear it down for you, Heroscape is without doubt one of the greatest games ever made by a human being in the entire universe. So there you go, that's Heroscape. Remember, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section down below, and we'll see you next time.